So according to the statement you gave the patrolman, you came down the chimney and saw the milk and cookies that you admit to consuming. How do you explain stepping over the pile of bodies without noticing? I've seen your rap sheet, hundreds of B&Ds, thousands of trespassing charges, FAA violations. Once the crime lab is done here we will wrap you up like a Christmas present and deliver you to the penitentiary. Not laughing now, fat man, no ho-ho-hos. How do you explain this book under the table leg? Even your wife said she hadn't seen you since last evening. Care to explain your whereabouts the past 13 hours? I told the first officer I have a list with all my stops in my sleg. Well, it's been towed to impound and the reindeer have been turned over to the animal control authorities. Well, we are done here. I will see you down at the station. Well, the CSI team didn't find the list you claimed to have in your sleigh. However, they did discover a loaded .357 Magnum revolver with 5 spent rounds, exactly the number of bodies in the house. I found it lying on the table next to the milk and cookies. I picked it up, placed my finger alongside my nose and flew up the chimney to secure it so the children did not wake early and play with it. I was going to turn it in after I finished my rounds. Next you will tell me you live at the North Pole and manufacture toys. Don't even try it. The lab boys have already verified the country of origin of the toys we found in the sleigh to be from China. Times have been rough during the recession. My elves have always been hard workers and I suppose I brought it on myself. A few years back Time Warner called and offered me a cable TV and internet bundle. My product line had grown stagnant. When Sears Roebucks used to send their Christmas catalog I would give it to the elves for inspiration for new toys. When that stopped coming my elves just kept on making rocking horses and dolls that weave themselves. I had to stop producing army men and guns due to public outcry, and even candy canes were frowned upon. Oh boy, here it comes. Little did I know that once the elves started watching the news and surfing the internet they would become disenchanted with the simple life of sugar plums, roasted chestnuts. While elves are hardy folk and live surprisingly long, my workforce was aging. The younger elves learning there was a world outside of the North Pole began to defect to Disney. In the old days Walt would have never undermined me like that. Walt and I would often hang out at his house on New Year's Eve with Bing Crosby, sipping brandy from Walt's cellars and bragging about our golf game. That Bob Iger is nothing more than a giant rat. Look for yourself sometime with him standing next to Mickey. He looks exactly like Mickey without ears. Are you through? Not quite. I could absorb the small loss of workforce the first couple of years, but many of my older elves were having health problems from the lead paint and asbestos we used to use. Arthritis was common, failing eyesight were driving up my health care costs. Then the death blow was when somehow the SEIU union people showed up at my workshop and began to organize the elves. This is an interesting story, fat man. What could I do? The union demanded higher wages, better health plans, and even though the elves had almost 8 months of vacation time where I still provided meals and housing, they kept demanding more. They began showing up to work drunk and production and quality were at an all-time low. There was nothing I could do but shut down the workshop and outsource. You still have not explained the book propping up the short table leg. There is a very simple explanation for that, detective. You see, 2 years ago the family's great-uncle Otto passed away, and bequeathed the table to the family. In transit the leg was broken. Not wanting to dispose of the table, one of the children wrote me and asked me to repair it. I would have gladly accommodated the request, but by that point the elves were usually so drunk they would have chopped it up and put it in the wood stove. I was able to determine that the 1964 Encyclopedia Britannica volume Q/R was exactly the right thickness, so I propped up the table leg with it. I doubt they ever noticed it missing from the bookshelf, as all their books have a heavy layer of dust on them. Okay, I have been patient up to now. Guard, take our guest back to his private suite. I don't believe it either, folks. Good of you to meet on such short notice, Dmitri. Is how do they say, Boris, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Were you followed? Boris, you of all people should know better. How about you? Were you followed? I see you still have that old country sense of humor, Dmitri. The carrier pigeon was a nice touch, Boris. You haven't changed a bit. I was going to use a personal ad in the New York Times, but advertising rates have gotten so high since the Cold War ended. How is the family, Boris? Does your mother still make her borscht? Yes, Dmitri, I bought her a place on Long Island a while ago. She has room for a garden, so she grows her own beets, potato, and cabbage. Nice. Say hello to Natasha for me. Don't tell anyone, but this cafe puts my mother's borscht to shame. I always knew you were a traitor, Boris. Well, Dmitri, I may as well get to the point of why I contacted you. I thought it was not just to have borscht and vodka, Boris. Snow boots. Snow boots. I had hoped this day would never come. Oh, settle down, Dmitri. It is not that. That is a relief. I was contacted by an agent in Old Country. They discovered an entire warehouse full of Cold War snow boots. But the Politburo said there was a snow boot shortage when I asked for a pair. They offered me fur-lined snow goggles. They were saving them for themselves. I should have known. Many a night I stood freezing in Central Park waiting on a courier wearing agency-issued Oxfords and cursing Politburo for withholding snow boots. My grandson tells me if I could get Old Country snow boots, the punk rock and alternative crowd would snatch them up for 1,000 a pair or even more. Boris, you never change. It is why I contacted you, Dmitri. I need some help getting them past customs. After all these years, I am not sure the old supply lines even exist, but I can make some inquiries. I knew I could depend on you, Dmitri. Once a spy, always a spy. When I hear, I will send the carrier pigeon back with a meeting time. Excellent. They say the swallows are returning to Capistrano. The garlic pickles at Morty's Deli are extraordinary. Were you followed? Were you? So I take it you have news. I have put out some inquiries. There may be a way, but it will be complicated. Just how complicated? Very complicated. I was afraid of that. This is going to be awkward, but unlike the old days, there are cameras everywhere. I need to pass you the message. What are you talking about? Once I pass the message, I will leave first. You wait a few minutes and then meet me later at the location I will give you. Don't play games. Let's do this. Sorry, it was the only way to secretly pass the microfilm. That was a dirty trick. You better go. I don't want to be seen in public with you. Nothing like the good old days of switching briefcases. I still can't believe Dmitri would do that. What happened to the old "I think this is your wallet" pass-off trick or putting a note in a pack of cigarettes? It was as if he was trying to set me up for something. Now Dmitri is 20 minutes late. What game is he playing? He better not be importing snow boots without me. I never did like this part of town. I was beginning to think you would not show up. Were you followed, Dmitri? I was, but I doubled back through Central Park and ambushed him. You might remember, Ivan Ivanovich from the old days, Boris. Alas, poor Ivan, I knew him well. Sorry about earlier, Boris. Since I quit smoking, my ways of passing microfilm were limited. It had to be done. Dmitri, I have reviewed your plan and you were right, it is very complicated. The Ukrainians have become more difficult to deal with. In the old days, a loaf of stale bread could buy almost any favor. Now they want a case of Levi's 501 jeans just to talk to anyone. By the time the Lithuanians take a cut, and the North Koreans, we will be lucky to net $5 a pair. I know, that is why I have reached out to the Chinese. They already smuggle many things by labeling them Apple products. Boris, trust me, I want this to work. Dmitri, I have faith in you. I just hope we have not tipped our hand. I have only said we were looking to import vacuum tubes to repair vintage radios. I would never mention snow boots. Good. So there is still a chance then. Trust me, old friend, this will be my way of getting back at the Politburo for denying me snow boots and making me wait out in the cold. Trust me, Dimitri, I know where you are coming from. Many a night I came in from the cold and wrung out my woolen socks. If my neighbors only knew the truth, they would have called me the spy who came in from the cold. We had better wrap this up, send the carrier pigeon with the next meeting place. Yes, I have to drive to the Hamptons yet tonight. Mother has summoned me for borscht night. The code word will be Fabergé egg and the response is nesting dolls. Until we meet again, na zdorowie. In old country you would be in re-education camp, Vladimir.
What is a re-education camp, grandfather?
A place where you would learn something, Vladimir.
Things like body piercing and tattoos, grandfather.
No, Vladimir, things like planting beets and repairing tractors.
That does not sound like fun, grandfather.
Vladimir, all you think of is yourself. I am ashamed by you. In old country, boy with blue hair would be locked in asylum.
Would this asylum have Xbox and Wi-Fi, grandfather?
No, Vladimir, there you would learn how to plant beets and repair tractor.
Grandfather, that sound just like the re-education camps.
Same thing, Vladimir.
I would not enjoy that, grandfather.
Is not for you to enjoy, it is for the good of the motherland.
I hate beets.
It makes me ashamed to be your grandfather, Vladimir. Everyone likes beets.
All I ever hear is beets. Finish your borscht, Vladimir. Fetch some beets and cabbage from the root cellar, Vladimir.
In old country that would be treason. I will ask your mother. Perhaps a few weeks on Long Island with your great-grandmother is just what you need.
That sounds boring. What would I do?
Well, Vladimir, you would learn how to plant beets and repair tractor.
I would not like that at all.
Good, I will make the call later. It will be good for you, Vladimir, and my mother can use the help on the collective. Just like old country. In old country Boris would not be kept waiting like this. I have bad feeling. Place smells of nitroglycerin. Must be anarchist hangout. Who be knocking? Maybe is Dimitri. Did you bring Fabergé eggs? I have nesting dolls. Were you followed? No, were you? This lonely garret reeks of nitroglycerin. It is my sister Jenny's place. I think tonight is her turn to throw the bomb. I remember now, wasn't the last one thrown by Uncle Tom? Yes. Mom's aim is bad, and the Kopskis all know Dad, so it's Sister Jenny's turn to throw the bomb. Yes, it's Sister Jenny's turn to throw the bomb. So any news from the Chinese? It is not looking good, comrade. There are so many obstacles, but I have a lead on an independent contractor. Can he be trusted? He is like a ghost. He has been around for years. Some say he is actually hundreds of years old, but he is elusive. So how do we get in touch with him? He is being held at a local police station on multiple murder charges at the moment. I do not like the sound of that, Dimitri. Can he be trusted? I have known him since childhood, comrade. He used to visit every December when I was young. And how do you propose to get to him, Dimitri? We cannot just walk into a police station and walk out with this person. Do you recall Berlin in '63? You don't mean. Why not? They will never expect it. Well, your attorney is here. It's about time. I don't know where you found this guy, but he creeps me out more than most lawyers. It's as if this guy is a spook. Honestly, detective, I don't know what you are talking about. One moment please. No funny business, fat man. I have 2 officers right outside the door. Freedom, sweet freedom. You are looking well, my old friend Nicholas. You never seem to look a day older. Were you followed? Nicholas. My old friend, you know me better than that. Sorry, I just could not resist asking. I would have bailed you out, but 5 counts of capital murder, well, they have denied your bail. All circumstantial evidence, my old friend Dmitri. I have a plan, but we must move quickly. Change into these clothes. Hurry. Good. The guards will never guess. Follow me to the elevator and try not to look so nervous, Nicholas. Please stop with the corny lines, Dmitri. Okay, are you ready? That was brilliant. My old friend Dmitri, just like old days in Berlin. When we reach the ground floor, go right to the waiting limo. It will not be long before they discover you have escaped. Escaped sounds so harsh. I just regained my freedom. Well, perhaps. This place reeks of nitroglycerine. Sorry, I will have to have a word with the maid. I have question, Dmitri. Why take the risk of liberating me from the Vox Polii headquarters? I have my reasons. Nicholas, you have special, how do they say, skill. For years you have moved all around the world undetected. That NORAD radar nonsense every December 24th is just the Americans trying to cover up their failures. It is true. I would not be surprised if the NORAD people set me up for the charges. There was that time when Donner and Blitzen went missing. When they returned, it looked like they had been tortured. Do you remember Boris from Old Country? Ah, Boris, cold evil eyes. He was a headliner on my naughty list for years. None other, Nicholas. One and the same, and we have a plan. You are the man for the job. I am semi-retired. The Pillais I have impounded my sleigh, and for all I know my beloved reindeer are in a re-education camp or petting zoo by now. Not to worry, Boris has bribed the officials. Your sleigh and team of reindeer are safe. Well, that is the first good news in days, comrade. So here is the plan and why we need you on our team. I guess I don't need to ask if you were followed. Who was that? Oh, just a crazy person we keep around for sound effects. I will need my regular suit back. A courier is bringing it as we speak. Excellent. So what is the caper? My old friend, Dmitri. In due time, my old friend. In due time. I just hope for both our sakes it does not end like that summer afternoon in Prague. How did we ever not expect being drugged by the goulash? We were young then, my old friend. Pretty women, too, much wine. We let our guard down. I must go, but Boris will bring your suit. He will knock and say the code word Boston pencil sharpener, and you will reply land camera, comrade, is good code words. Ah, those were the days, my friend. We thought they would never end. We'd live the life we choose, we'd fight and never lose. For we were young and sure to have our way. Through the door there came familiar laughter. I saw your face, and heard you call my name. Oh my friend, we're older but no wiser. For in our hearts, the dreams are still the same. Who is there? Boston pencil sharpener. Land camera, come in. It has been a long time, Nicholas. Yes, it has. You still remind me of that rascal Rasputin. You old dog. I can't even remember our last meeting, Nicholas. Was it Paris in '56? I think it was New York outside the UN building in '63. So Dmitri said there was a mission. Yes, and you are the key to carrying it out. When are you two going to let me in on the details? In due time, let's get you back into your regular clothes. You remind me of a Philadelphia lawyer in that outfit. Much better, Nicholas. Now here is the plan. My grandson Vladimir tells me Russian Cold War snow boots would bring at least $1,000 a pair from the punk rock and alternative music crowd. I have heard there is a warehouse full of them in old country. 1,000 a pair, that is nearly 3 times Air Jordans go for. Exactly, but the supply lines from old days have been severed. The Ukrainians are demanding tariffs, and the Chinese, if they were to get their hands on them, would flood the country with counterfeits. What makes you think I would not cross you and Dmitri as well? One word. And that word, my old friend, I think you know, Nicholas. You wouldn't, in a New York minute, Nicholas. Don't even think it. Imagine the damage from the radiation. The decision is yours, Nicholas. Cooperative Rudolph may end up as part of Iraq's enrichment program.